Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name's Jenny and this is Arnold the Praying Penguin, and we create videos every Saturday about prayer, about exploring the Bible and about living out your faith. And this kind of time is probably one of my favourite times of the year. We have Christmas and all the joy and fun of Christmas, and we also have that kind of time of looking forward to the new year and preparing for the new year. Lots of planning and lots of goals. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, about goals, our goals for 2022, and how we set Christian goals for ourselves. So firstly, how do we go about setting Christian goals for ourselves? I have a bit of a 4-stage process that I like to think about as I'm planning my goals and going through that process. So firstly, I like to reflect back on last year's goals. How did I get on with those goals? Were they useful goals to have? Did I achieve them at all? So I like to keep and track all of my goals in my bullet journal. So if you saw last year's bullet journal setup or last year's goal video, I spoke about my goals for last year, and some of them I kind of followed and tracked quite well throughout the year, but some of them I didn't plan very well, so I didn't really end up achieving them at all because I had no idea what I set out to do. So for example, I had practice hospitality on there, and I know that in several ways I did practice hospitality during the year, but I never actually planned that goal any further. So I've no idea whether I achieved that goal or not. And it's the same for a couple of other goals like that, where they weren't very well put together goals. So I'm not going to be repeating any of those goals. Step 2 is that I come up with different categories for my goals. So these are quite kind of broad areas of my life that I want to focus on and I want to be setting goals for in the next year. So for me, I have spiritual disciplines as one of my categories. Then I have relationships, which kind of covers family and friendships and community and all of that, all in that one kind of community and relationships category. Category number 3 is gifts, so using the gifts that God has given me and how I'm going to use them in the next year. Category 4 is ministry, so for me this is mostly Arnold and this channel and this blog. But this is going to look different for different people and in different seasons of your life. It could be different ways that you serve in the church or different ways that you minister to other people. And then this year I do also have a 5th category for other, which is just a kind of hodgepodge of other miscellaneous goals that I thought of that I would like to achieve and work towards this year, but they don't necessarily fall into those other categories very nicely. Step 3 is then to pray about these categories and to pray for God to show you what goals He wants you to set in these different areas of your life, and really allow God to kind of guide you as you're coming up with these different goals. Don't just think, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve in this year. Actually be really led by God and by the Holy Spirit as you're planning through this process. That's why I personally like to leave at least kind of a short time period of a couple of days, a couple of weeks, whatever that looks like, to really think through some of these goals and what they might actually look like, and to allow God to speak to you as you're going through this thought process. And then step 4 is once you have your goals, really break them down and see how you can track that progress. I think big goals are great, it's really great to have big goals, but how are you going to see progress on that throughout the year? That's something that really helps me to kind of focus on those goals and to make sure I'm still working on them throughout the year, is by being able to break them down and see, oh, what do I need to do next? What do I need to do this month? How close am I to achieving that goal or not achieving that goal? That's why you'll see that a lot of my goals have numbers attached to them, just because that allows me to see how I'm making progress towards that goal. So again, I tend to use my bullet journal as a way of breaking down these goals and being able to track them in a really visual way. So you will see how I do that in my 2022 bullet journal when that setup video comes out, hopefully next week. So make sure you're subscribed if you'd like to see that video when it does come out. But that is my process for how I go about setting goals, and particularly setting Christian goals for the next year. So what are my goals for 2022? So in the spiritual disciplines category, my first goal is to use my prayer journal more. So I personally really love prayer journaling. I find this is a really great way for me personally to pray. I love to be writing down my prayers as I pray them. It helps me to focus, it helps me to remember what I've prayed in the past and see how God has answered those prayers as well. This is a prayer journal that I like to use, and it just has space that you can use whenever you like. It's not dated or anything, but you can just add in your prayers to that. And as much as I love praying in that way, it's something I often forget to do, so I want it to become a much more of a habit that I do on a regular basis. So for this, I would break it down to say, actually, I want to use my prayer journal at least on a weekly basis. So I'm going to break that down into each week, am I using my prayer journal? And then I'll be able to tick that off or not tick that off, depending on how I get on. And then hopefully it will just become a habit, something that I do all of the time, because I already know it's something that I love doing and really helps me. So I just need to get into the habit and the routine of doing that. Goal number 2 is to study the Bible. And this is a goal that's kind of always on my goals list. It's always something that I want to do and get better at. And this year I have set a number attached to this, because that was the mistake I made last time. I didn't attach a number, I didn't attach which books I wanted to read. I never really planned it, so it never really went anywhere. So this year I want to study 12 different books of the Bible. So this could be one book each month, but equally it could be one particular book that I study that's a lot shorter, that I just do in a week, for example. Or it could be that I spend several months studying a much bigger book of the Bible. Just over the course of the year, I'd love to study 12 different books of the Bible. And I'm not going to plan out exactly which 12 books those are going to be at the beginning of the year, because I want to leave space for God to guide me to different books of the Bible and to just respond to what's happening in my life throughout the year. But by the time we hit 1st of January, I would like to have kind of chosen at least the first 2 or 3 books that I'm going to study, just so I kind of know what I'm doing next, because that really helps me. And rather than kind of get into that lull in between books, being like, oh, which should I read next? I don't know. At least if it's planned out for me, then I know this is what I'm going to start with. And then I also have a little bit of kind of a bonus goal here, because for those of you who don't know, I am expecting a baby next year in about February. So one of my big goals is to just find new routines, find new ways of doing things with a baby. So what does prayer look like with a newborn baby? What does Bible study look like with a newborn baby? How do I incorporate my baby with my spiritual disciplines? And I think that will just be something that I'm kind of continuously exploring as the baby grows up as well. So it's more of a question than a goal, but I wanted to have it in my goals as well, just so it's something that I keep reflecting on and keep coming back to. Category number 2 is relationships, and last year this category largely focused on community and the community aspect of relationships. But this year I'm kind of focusing much more on family and close friends and a new baby and how that changes relationships as well. So my first goal for this is to get ready for a new baby. And I don't mean that I'm going to be like ready for a baby. I'm not sure you ever get to a point where you're like, yeah, I'm totally ready. It's going to be great. I'm not sure that will happen, but I just mean in a practical sense of being ready, like making sure everything's set up and making sure things are washed and going to the antenatal classes and breastfeeding classes and all of those kind of practical things that we can do to be as ready as possible for when baby arrives. So obviously this isn't really a goal for the whole of 2022, this is a goal that we kind of need to achieve by February, by the time baby arrives. So it's a bit more of a short-term goal, but I think it would be nice to just be able to tick those things off as we get them done. And then goal number 2 in this category will follow on from that and actually do from when baby is born for the rest of the year, because I want to do a bit of kind of a baby milestones tick list, checklist, whatever that looks like. But not the kind of normal baby milestones, so it won't be like their first tooth and first time they roll over and first time they smile, because I think those things are fun, but I also want to kind of track some of the really fun first things with a baby. So first trip to a farm, Bernard is very excited for that. First trip to the beach, first time we meet great grandparents, for example. Just kind of really fun and memorable occasions like that that will be really good to remember. But also things that I really do want to do with my baby within those kind of first 10 months. And then goal number 3 in this category is to maintain my friendships and relationships after the baby has been born as well. So making sure that I'm staying in good contact with people that I care about and maintaining those relationships even with the big change of a baby. So again, I wanted this one to be quite fun and not a real kind of hardship and chore. This is meant to be about fun and relationships. So for this, I'm just going to have a bit of a checklist of things that I want to do after the baby has come to make sure I am really investing in those friendships still. So things like going out for dinner, things like going to a beach or for a little beach trip, or going and get fish and chips one night, or a date night with my husband, for example. Just kind of fun things like that that will really help to make sure that I am still focusing on those friendships and relationships and investing in them, but are still fun. They're not a chore to do. They're not anything that's like really difficult. They're going to be fun. Okay, category number 3 was gifts. So this is kind of using the gifts and skills that God has given us and how we're going to use them and how we're going to better them in the next year. So for me, I am doing a fundraising course this year. I'm doing a certificate in fundraising. By the time you see this video, I'll actually have already started the course, so hopefully it's going well. But I'll be doing that throughout quite a lot of 2022. I think it finishes about October, November time. So I will have 4 different assignments to do. This course is a certificate level, so it's the equivalent of like your first year of university here in the UK. So it'll be like proper kind of essay assignments, big things, and lots of kind of studying and work. So I really want to make sure that I keep up with that I'm doing all the work for that, and that I get those assignments completed on time mainly. And that's something that's really going to help me in my own kind of fundraising knowledge and skills and developing that gift, but also in my career as I kind of move forwards with that. And then my other goal for this category is to write 3 sermons. So last year I did set this as a goal to write 4 sermons, and I've done 3 so far, and I have another one that I'm going to be doing right around Christmas, so I will have achieved this goal by the end of the year, which is great. And I really liked having this goal set to kind of motivate me to remember that this is something that I do and that I love doing, but also to be able to look back on and see, it may not feel like I've done that many sermons this year, but like I can look back and remember, oh, I remember that sermon that I wrote back in Lent, for example. So this year I have dropped it down to 3 just because I imagine I won't be doing any kind of too soon after having a baby, so 3 across the year I think is quite reasonable, and hopefully I'll be able to do that. Even if they're not ones that I'm kind of actively preaching in church, I can still write them if I don't have the opportunity to be preaching. Category number 4 was ministry, and for me both of these goals this year are focused around Arnold, of course, so he's very happy. So we have the first goal is to write 2 blog posts each month. I've kind of fallen off the wagon a bit when it comes to blog posts over the last couple of months. I've been very kind of hit or miss, and mostly miss over the last couple of months, and I really want to get back into that routine because I love writing blog posts and I really like that part of my ministry. So I want to get back into the habit of just writing 2 each month, roughly 1 every other week. So not every week like I was doing before, but just kind of easing back into it and just do 2 each month and see how that goes. If you have any particular ideas or requests for blog posts that you'd like to see, do leave those down in the comments below. And then my other goal is for here on YouTube to reach 1,000 subscribers. And that is a big goal, a very big goal. I don't necessarily know that it's like super realistic, but I kind of think, why not aim a bit bigger? This channel has been kind of steadily growing really nicely. It's been lovely welcoming so many new people into this community, and we just want to see that continue to grow. So why not aim for 1,000? I think that would be really fun. That would be an amazing achievement if we get there, and if we don't, it's not something that I'm going to be really stressed about. I know that it's just a big aim and a big goal to get to at some point. I know some people don't like setting those kind of big numerical goals because it's something that will stress them out and make them feel like they failed if they don't get there. But personally, that's not something that I really struggle with, because I just know from the outset that it's a big goal and it's something I want to get to at some point. And if it's this year, great. If it's not, that's great too. Well, I'm sure we'll get there at some point. But if you would like to help me get to that subscriber goal, make sure you are subscribed to this channel to see more videos from me and Arnold. Give this video a like and a comment, as that helps other people to see it too. Okay, so my final category was other, and this is just a bit of kind of a miscellaneous, other things that didn't quite fit into those, but that I still want to be looking at and thinking about throughout the year. So my first kind of miscellaneous goal is to read 50 books. So in 2021 I set myself the goal of reading 75 books. I genuinely have no idea what number I'm up to right now. I'm definitely over 50, but I don't think I've reached 75 at all. Maybe like 55, 60? I have no idea. But that's fine. I kind of, again, fell off the wagon with reading a little bit towards the end of this year, but I think it'll be something that maybe I do a little bit more while I'm on maternity leave. Maybe I'll listen to audiobooks. I don't know. Who knows? I could read way more, I could read way less, because I'll be busy. But we shall see. I think 50 is a reasonable number if I've got kind of audiobooks in that as well. And I do enjoy reading, so that's something that I really want to continue to do and not just give up on completely. My next goal in this category is to finish our BSL course. So if you don't know what BSL is, it's British Sign Language, and me and my husband decided that we wanted to do a bit of a course on BSL so that we knew it, so that we could maybe incorporate some baby sign with our baby when they are born, and just to be much better equipped for if we meet people who use BSL. And be able to communicate with them just as we would everyone else. So we've started that course, and the aim is to finish that. There are 10 sessions in total, I believe, so I just want to tick off all of those and complete that. And then keep practicing. Make sure that by the end of the year I can still actually remember the stuff. And then my final goal for 2022 is to start running and orienteering again after having a baby. So I love running, I love orienteering, which for those who don't know is basically cross-country fell running, but with a map and a compass, and you have to navigate your course, and it's really fun. But I've had to kind of stop both running and orienteering in the last couple of weeks. I had been able to continue them for quite a lot of my pregnancy, but I've had some pelvic pain that I'm sure I talked more about in my second trimester recap and update, so if you want to hear about all things pelvic pain, head to that video. But it has meant that I've had to kind of stop most exercise, particularly running and orienteering. So that's been really sad, but I definitely want to get back into that after I've had a baby and after I'm a bit recovered. So again, this goal doesn't have like a value to it. I just want to start running again, go for a run after having a baby and continue that regularly. And then go to an orienteering event after having a baby. I can take my baby to a string course. But again, this isn't something that I'm going to be kind of like forcing myself to do or making into a really big chore for myself. The idea is that I want to get back into running, and I want to get back to orienteering, and this is just a way to remind myself that that's something I want to be thinking about, so that once I've had a baby, when I come back to this goals page and this list of goals, I can be thinking, oh, how am I going to do that? Am I ready to do that yet or not? How am I feeling? Am I able to do that yet? If yes, why don't I try it? That kind of idea. So those are our goals for 2022 and how we kind of came through that process of planning our Christian goals for 2022. We'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments. What goals are you setting for yourself in 2022? We'd love to chat all things goals and what things you're thinking of. We hope you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have, please do give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos from me and Arnold, including that bullet journal setup video, which will be coming out either this week or next week, and we'll show you how we kind of break down these goals so that we can track them a bit better. You'll see that in that video. So we will see you very soon for a new video. Bye!